Thanks for tuning in to Shootie School. In this mini video series, we'll be talking about note durations, but first, we'll make sure we understand time signatures in EZdrummer 2. This information is equally helpful for superior drummer users as well, since we're mostly talking about theory. The main difference between programs is that Superior Drummer is capable of having multiple time signatures per project, and EZdrummer 2 can only have one. More on that later. I'm focusing this video on non-drummers, amateur drummers, songwriters, and musicians that need the very basic understanding of rhythmic music theory so they can get this tiny learning curve out of the way and start using EZdrummer 2 to a professional level and get the results that they're hearing in their head into their music, and not be limited to just using the MIDI libraries that come with EZdrummer 2, or better yet, understand how to manipulate and edit those libraries as well. If you're instead looking for a beginner's video on how to use EZdrummer 2, I recommend watching my Easy Guide to EZdrummer 2 video first, because here I assume you've already watched my previous videos in this advanced series, so there's no need for an introduction or specifications. My EZdrummer 2 videos are linked below in the description, or you can go to my channel Shootie School for more EZdrummer 2 tutorials. Let's get started. Let's take a look at the time signature and the metronome in EZdrummer 2 and define a few things. This stuff is not difficult to understand, just pay attention, take notes, or watch the video a second time if you have to. Because after you know this stuff, not only will EZdrummer 2 be easier to work with, your music hobby or career will benefit, especially when it comes to communicating with others or with your own creative brain. Veterans that are familiar with basic counting and time signatures may want to stick around just to see how EZdrummer 2 can be operated when it comes to applying this music theory. Or maybe this is the video you should recommend to that dude in your band because he quote-unquote feels it and doesn't need to count, yet he's the weakest link in your group. The metronome is not your enemy. It's that little ticking sound that makes tempos audible. If you want to be a boxer, there's a good chance a coach is on the side of the ring guiding your performance. This coach is our metronome. You know how people instinctively tap their foot or bob their head to music? Consider that EZdrummer 2's metronome is simply keeping track of its own timing, just like your foot or head tends to keep track of your timing. So when we listen to music or perform it, the music tends to generally line up with the sound of the metronome or your foot tapping. These are not hard, fast rules. This is music theory, not music law. Anyone can do this differently, ignore doing this, or simply have a different way of perceiving it. For myself, this has been a lifeline for my musical endeavors. And for this specific video, I present it to you in a way that would change tomorrow and then the day after, because analogies work differently for everyone and my perception also changes on a daily basis. That's why music is so vast and amazing. Even counting and time can be challenging or creative. I love it. In the top portion of the screen, I will start putting music notation. Let me briefly describe it. You should know that you do not need to necessarily understand what is happening in the top portion of the screen to understand this tutorial, but know that it is healthy to acknowledge it. These 5 lines are a music staff, where music notes can be placed. This rectangle is a drum clef indicating that the notes on the staff are for percussion, not melodic instruments. These numbers are the time signature, which is what this entire video is about. And this note on the staff in the real world represents the side stick sound of a snare drum, but specifically for this tutorial, it will represent the metronome we hear or the hash marks we see in the song track when necessary. Metronome sounds are typically not represented on the music staff. Lastly, this tiny symbol means play an accent of the current note, typically meaning hit it a little harder than the rest. Now, let's get back to the action. I'll click on the metronome here. Now that we hear a metronome, we can count to it. But counting upwards infinitely would be ridiculous. We'll count from 1 to 4 over and over again, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so simple to count to 4 that when you do it long enough to music, you don't think about the numbers anymore. You will start feeling the weight of each number. For example, the kick drum in popular music usually hits on the number 1 while you're counting, and the snare typically hits on numbers 2 and 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Kick, snare, 3, snare. Kick, snare, 3, snare. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes it's difficult for amateurs to count and play at the same time. This is why the metronome, in many cases, will give you a different accenting sound on the number 1 or the first beat. Look in the metronome settings of EZdrummer 2. Under the first beat drop-down menu, I will change it to click 3 hard, so we hear obvious results. Now, when I lose track of counting, the metronome reminds me of where to say the number 1, or better yet, it changes the sound of the weight or feel of the first of the 4 beats. This is very helpful. As a veteran of the metronome, I still need this now and then when I feel challenged with a music project. As an amateur, you may want to hear the metronome like this all of the time until you unconsciously know where the 1 is in everything you listen to without acknowledging it. It will be a feeling. There will be a mental weight when you pass by the first beat in a measure, or as you tap your foot or bob your head. The end game is to feel, not count. But we must count for now to train ourselves how to feel it. If you're driving and about to fatally crash your car, within milliseconds, your foot hits the brakes. You don't think about telling your foot to hit the brakes. You don't try and figure out the situation and then make the decision. You instantly hit the brakes without consulting your thoughts or conscience because your body understands what needs to be done. Counting to understand timing will get you to this unconscious reactive point where you are fluid and flowing with it, not trying to keep up with it and analyze it. And the sooner you get to this point, the sooner your passion or career will shift gears in your creative productivity. As simple as it is, let's define simple counting, make sure we understand it, and practice it until we don't think about it anymore. My father always said as I was growing up, timing is everything. And that doesn't only apply to music. And I think he was right. Now that we hear the number 1 has a different sound, commonly known as an accent, we should acknowledge that it happens at the start of a measure. A measure, or bar, is an agreed amount of time in which you can count or play music to. The length of that time is defined by a time signature. When we count up to 4, we just counted 1 full measure. And after the second time we count up to 4, we have completed the second measure, and so on. Different sections of songs are typically made up of 4, 8, or 16 measures in popular music. The chorus in Aerosmith's Walk This Way is 8 measures long, as an example. But this is not a rule. None of this is a rule. It just happens to be what many people have agreed upon and is popular. If you look at the song track in EZdrummer 2, you'll see the numbers in the ruler graphic. These represent measures. If I zoom in with my mouse wheel, we'll see every measure like this. Measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. These are not the numbers we were just counting. These are the measures, or bars, that we count inside of. If we zoom in more, we'll see some hash marks in between the measure numbers. These hash marks are where we count to 4 over and over again, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So now we might understand that a single measure has 4 beats, and as we move along our song to the next measure and so on, we continue to count to 4 over and over again. This is the 10th measure of my song. And this is the first beat of the 10th measure. And here is the third beat of the 10th measure. This is the third beat because that's where we say the number 3 when counting through measure 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason we count to 4 and not 3 or 5 or anything else is because we have agreed on it here in the numerator of the time signature fraction. The time signature does not decide what musical notes to play or how many. That could be an infinite amount of possibilities. It decides the length and feel of the measure. This video is about the most popular time signature, 4/4. In simple speak, this means we count to 4 over and over again. I will generically define this time signature fraction though. The number on the left is how many beats are in your measure or bar, or the number you count up to before restarting. Remember these hash marks? Assuming you've zoomed into your song track only as much as I have. Every measure has 4 hash marks before it starts over. This defines how big your measure or bar is. The number on the right simply tells you the value of the note that should be counted 4 times. The time signature 4/4 means count quarter notes 4 times to achieve one measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. We never stop counting to 4 over and over until we change the time signature. If this is new information for you, there's no need to understand the next section because we're going to cover different time signatures only momentarily. Your initial steps should be to understand 4/4, count in 4/4, and then be able to feel in 4/4. If we change the time signature to 3/4, that means we count to 3 over and over again. Unfortunately, in EZdrummer 2, sometimes when you change the time signature from 4/4, the quarter note hash marks go away. It only shows eighth note hash marks. I'll draw in the quarter note hash marks for you because they most certainly do exist. If you remember, we've been counting to 4 up until this point. 1, 2, 3, 4. More like pop music or rock music. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dun dun ga dun 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 ga. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom ba ba boom boom ba boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'll use my lovely singing voice to give you an example of what 3/4 sounds like, or more so, feels like, because time signatures are about feel. Like the feeling of a couple dancing to a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, la dee doo 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 dee doo doo 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, blah 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 blah. We're dancing in a ballroom, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But since the number 4 is still in the fraction, meaning count 3 quarter notes, we still count at the same speed as 4/4 time signature. The speed of the music is the same. The feel is what's different. If we change the time signature to 5/4, we count at the same speed again, but to the number 5 instead, before repeating. A feel that more mature musicians might work with as an extremely generic description. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lastly, before we move on, if I change the bottom number of this fraction so it has an 8 instead of a 4, we still count up to the numerator number on the left of the fraction, but now twice as fast. Me saying count twice as fast in no way does it mean how fast your song is. That's determined by the tempo. The bottom number in this fraction just decides the length of the note you're counting, not the speed of your song, which is why we count faster, not because the music is faster, but because there are more notes with less duration to count. Time signatures are about feel, not speed. 7/8 is a popular time signature for a band like Clutch, and here's what it feels like to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice how I say sev instead of 7. It makes counting in time easier to lose the extra syllable. You might also say lev instead of 11, and so on. Amateurs might also find it difficult to bob their head to uneven time signatures like 7/8. A quick tip for you when working in 7/8, for example, would be to bob your head or tap your foot to the eighth note, not the quarter note. So for now, bob your head or tap your foot twice as fast until your inner clock gets a grasp on the feel of these odd time signatures. Here's a quick rhetorical test and some pointers on time signature stuff in EZdrummer 2. On my search tab, which is covered in my advanced search video, let's select the 4/4 filter in the sorting column. Below, we have beats only with the 4/4 time signature. This first 4/4 beat has 8 bars. That means I would have to count to 4 8 times to hear the entire groove. Watch the white playhead as I count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To keep track of what measure you're in, you may have had to count on your fingers. It's very distracting and tedious. As I get better at counting, I might replace the number 1 of each measure that I'm counting with the measure number that I'm trying to keep track of, which may help me better keep track of the number of measures that are in a part or a beat, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Counting like this really helps you navigate song sections that you are not yet familiar with. Now, if I deselect 4/4 and select 3/4 like this and play this 3/4 file, which says it's 2 bars long, that means I could count to 3 twice before the beat loops, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I select 7/8 and choose this beat that's only 1 measure long, that means I count to 7 twice as fast, only 1 time to hear the whole beat, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me loop the beat and count with it a few times so it makes a little bit more sense so you can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's okay if counting to 3 or 7 doesn't feel comfortable yet. Concentrate on counting to 4. If you understand these last examples, or you at least have a grasp on counting the 4/4 time signature, you're good to go. If not, try watching this video again after taking a break and resetting your brain. Now, working in EZdrummer 2. If you use Toontrack MIDI libraries to make songs, but don't use these sorting filters, you're losing a lot of valuable time. If I'm writing a song in 4/4, I should select the 4/4 filter first before checking out my search results down here. Or maybe I'm writing in 3/4, but 6/8 beats could work too, since 6/8 evenly fits into 3/4. Then I would make those 2 selections before continuing. You don't have to work with MIDI files that have matching time signatures. And if you choose to work this way, the grid in your song track will probably not make perfect sense because EZdrummer 2 does not support multiple time signatures per project, but it is possible, especially if you zoom in far enough to access the proper hash marks to snap to, as discussed in my advanced editing video. You probably know that you can decide your project's time signature here. What you may not know is that if your song track is completely empty, like mine is, and then you drag your first MIDI file to it, your project time signature will inherit that MIDI file's time signature. Like this. This next part is an advanced section of this video. Amateurs can hang tight for a minute or skip ahead. EZdrummer 2 does not support multiple time signatures per project. If you're like me and are passionate about certain programs, you may be more interested in at least knowing a workaround or possibly using one before spending more cash on the correct solution. Does EZdrummer 2 really not support multiple time signatures per project? Let's find out. If I have a verse in 4/4, but at the end of my verse revolution, I want a bar of 7/8. Well, I could just drag 3 4/4 files into the song track and then a 7/8 file right afterwards, like this. If we take note of where the measure numbers are in the ruler of the song track, we can see this bar of 7/8 comes up short and not make it to the next measure in the song track because the last MIDI block is 7/8. Let's pretend this is okay. And let's also acknowledge that if we want to use multiple time signatures in EZdrummer 2 standalone, not in your DAW, we need to start simply ignoring the measure numbers. Because in this specific case, measure 5 truly starts an 8th note early. Now, let's duplicate our current structure because we want the verse twice as long. It duplicated just fine, but look at the start of our new 4/4 MIDI blocks. They are all an 8th note early on the grid. But that's okay, because we're ignoring measure numbers now. And since we're working with non-4/4 time signatures, you might want to make sure you're zoomed in past quarter note hash marks on the song track ruler. Going all the way to the end, where our second MIDI block of 7/8 is, we can now see we are 2 8th notes short of the next measure, which equals 1 quarter note. That's okay, because we're ignoring the bars. Let's hear how this sounds, and I'll count to the second revolution. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It actually sounds just fine to me. Let's hear it with the metronome now. Uh-oh. That sounds a little weird. Now I hear a problem. Only if I want to hear a metronome while working though. Nothing is broken or incorrect right now, but because we used a measure of 7/8 and can't change time signatures because EZdrummer 2 supposedly does not support that, the metronome switched from the downbeat to the upbeat halfway through our track, right after the first 7/8 beat. Because our metronome sounds on a quarter note, and we can't get an even amount of quarter notes out of the 7/8 time signature. The metronome likes more simple math. The more you toy with different time signature MIDI files and go off the beaten path of the song track hash marks, the more jumpy the metronome will get in this manner. This makes sense to me because we're using a workaround. A simple way around this metronome issue could be to go to the metronome settings and change it to play eighth notes and take out the accent, because eighth notes can divide into almost any time signatures, almost. And since we are ignoring measure numbers in the timeline, we do not want to hear accents on them. Now let's listen. We will now always hear the metronome twice as fast, but it will at least be an accurate feel that we can play to. That is the workaround for using multiple time signatures in EZdrummer 2. If you want to properly do time signature changes in EZdrummer 2, you should launch EZdrummer 2 inside of your DAW as a virtual instrument or plugin, and program the time signature changes in your DAW's timeline, and EZdrummer 2 will follow the changes, as discussed in my using EZdrummer 2 with your DAW videos. I use Pro Tools, for example, and an affordable DAW that newcomers might be interested in is called Reaper. Or, if you're on a Mac, GarageBand is free. Use EZdrummer 2 in GarageBand. And since we've covered a lot of counting in this video, you should take note that in the metronome settings, you can ask EZdrummer 2 to count different note durations for you, like eighth notes instead of quarter notes, regardless of what time signature you're using. Something like this comes in handy for me when working on complicated parts and I have to slow the tempo down and work on them, but need to hear the metronome fast, double-timed, to keep me in check. It's a very helpful feature. Here's my home stretch soapbox speech. Next time you look at your guitar tabs or sheet music, now you know why those time signature fractions are everywhere. Or, at your next rehearsal, your drummer might say, "I changed this one measure to 5/4 to accent this cool drum fill." Now you don't have to memorize your overplaying drummer's new drum fill. You simply have to remember to count to 5 in this one part of the song, and the band will play together tightly from its inner clock, not from memorization. If you do not know this stuff, the timeline of your musical goals may depend on learning this well and getting it out of the way. When everybody's turned up and rocking out, we don't speak English anymore. We communicate with music, and this is the language I'm trying to teach you. If I'm in a foreign country and I need to know where the bus stop is, I first need to find someone who speaks my language in a foreign country. Then have to find someone who not only speaks English, but also knows where the bus is. This is how slow your writing process might be right now, frustrating and tedious. Learn this simple stuff now, so you know where the bus is to take you to the next level. The better you know it, the faster the bus will drive you there. Now that we can count to 4 over and over again and possibly other time signatures, and hopefully understand that every time we count to 4 a new measure begins, we can now start creating music inside of a measure. Counting is just the guide and a generic feel of the music. The music itself contained inside of a measure is a whole other thing. It's where your creativity will be captured. Before watching my next video, try to understand this video first. This is the foundation to the next level. If you learned something today, please like and subscribe. If you're feeling motivated, move on to the next note duration video in this mini-series that's within my Advanced with EZdrummer 2 series. If you're burnt out, take a break. And when your head's clear, come back and watch more Advanced with EZdrummer 2 videos on my channel. Comments and corrections are always welcome below. Check out ShootieSchool.com for more content and rock on.